It started with a tweet, but within hours, it turned into a firestorm that rocked the entire conservative media world. Candace Owens, never one to hold back, had just dropped what she called the receipts, screenshots, messages, and voice clips that exposed the truth about Erika Kirk's alleged role in the Turning Point USA scandal. What began as whispers about manipulation and influence suddenly had evidence. Real, undeniable evidence. Erika, once seen as the polished face of faith-based politics, was blindsided. She'd spent weeks denying any involvement in backdoor deals or internal sabotage, but now Candace had receipts that told a different story. Names, dates, private conversations. It was all out in the open, and the timing couldn't have been worse. The internet erupted. Hashtags trended. Old interviews were rewatched and dissected. For the first time, even Erika's allies went silent. And Candace, she wasn't done. She promised there was more, a second wave of proof that would make people rethink who they've been defending. What made this so explosive wasn't just what Candace revealed, it was why. Their friendship had been public. Their collaboration celebrated. But behind the smiles and the staged photos, there'd been tensions simmering for months. Betrayal, competition, and secrets that had finally boiled over. Now, with one post, Candace had done what no one else could. She'd pulled the curtain back on the inner chaos of conservative media. And in doing so, she left Erika Kirk completely exposed. The storm had been building for weeks, but no one expected Candace Owens to be the one who'd finally pull the trigger. The tension between her and Erika Kirk had been visible to anyone paying attention: subtle shade in interviews, passive-aggressive tweets, and the kind of forced smiles that never fooled anyone. But when Candace dropped the receipts, it wasn't just another social media spat. It was the moment everything in the conservative media world cracked open. It all began with one cryptic tweet. No names, no tags, just a single sentence. Loyalty ends where deception begins. Screenshots don't lie. Within minutes, her followers knew exactly who she was talking about. The replies flooded in. Erika, she's talking about the TPUSA leak, isn't she? Wait, does Candace have proof? The speculation ignited instantly, and by the time Candace posted the first screenshot, the internet was already on fire. The image showed a private message, thread timestamps, usernames, everything intact. It was between Erika Kirk and a top-level media strategist from Turning Point USA. The tone was casual, but calculating. In it, Erika allegedly discussed narrative steering, message alignment, and how certain influencers could be used to soften the backlash. To the casual observer, it might have looked like business strategy. But to anyone who had followed the TPUSA scandal, it read like confirmation that Erika had been involved in shaping and possibly hiding the truth. The timing was brutal. TPUSA was already under scrutiny following months of controversy tied to leaked footage, internal disputes, and allegations of staged outrage. Erika had been trying to distance herself from it all, presenting herself as an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire. She'd posted devotional quotes, family pictures, and long captions about grace and faith in an attempt to reclaim the moral high ground. But now, Candace Owens had ripped that image apart. Candace didn't just post one screenshot, she posted 7, each one worse than the last. In one message, Erika appeared to downplay concerns about optics, saying, "People forget fast if you distract them the right way." In another, she allegedly advised a team member to lean into the chaos online because controversy drives traffic. It was damning. The receipts didn't just expose Erika's role in the scandal, they shattered the persona she'd built as a woman of faith and integrity. Within hours, major outlets had picked up the story. Conservative commentators debated it live. Is this the end of Erika Kirk's credibility? One host asked. Others went further, suggesting she might have been manipulating narratives all along. On Twitter, hashtags like #Candace exposes Erika and #TPUSA receipts dominated trends. Clips from Candace's podcast were reposted across every platform, each time framed as the moment of truth. But what truly sent the story nuclear wasn't the screenshots, Sit was the voice note. Midway through her Twitter thread, Candace posted a short audio clip with the caption, "Listen carefully. This is what deception sounds like." In the recording, a woman whose voice unmistakably matched Erika was heard discussing how to frame the story before they do. The clip was brief, just 30 seconds long, but that was enough. The tone was cold, calculated, and confident. There was no remorse, no hesitation, just control. "If they think I'm behind it," the voice said, "then fine. I'll play the victim." People eat that up. That single line became the headline everywhere. "I'll play the victim." 3 words that turned Erika Kirk from a misunderstood insider into the villain of her own story. Erika's team scrambled to respond. Within hours, a statement appeared on her Instagram story denying everything. "These so-called receipts are manipulated and taken out of context." It read, "I will not engage in drama or lies meant to divide good people doing good work." The message was simple, defiant, but it didn't work. The damage was already done. Candace had proof, and Erika's denial only made her look guilty. Candace never wanted to back down, doubled down instead. In a fiery live stream, she told her audience exactly why she'd decided to speak out. "I don't care who gets mad," she said. "I don't care who I lose as a friend. When you lie to the people and hide behind your faith while doing it, that's where I draw the line." She didn't mince words. "This woman smiled in my face while planning narratives behind mine. And now she wants to cry about context." No, the context is betrayal. That line, "the context is betrayal," went viral. Even people outside conservative circles started paying attention. What had begun as a niche media feud now looked like a full-blown reckoning within one of the most powerful movements in right-wing media. Candace's supporters praised her for exposing hypocrisy, while Erika's dwindling fan base begged her to tell her side. But silence became Erika's worst enemy. The longer she waited, the louder the noise grew. Behind the scenes, insiders painted a chaotic picture. Erika's phone reportedly didn't stop buzzing. Calls from donors, friends, publicists saw asking the same thing. What did Candace mean by more to come? Because that phrase, teased in Candace's post, suggested there were still deeper secrets waiting to be revealed. And Candace knew exactly what she was doing. She'd been building this reveal for weeks, collecting evidence quietly, knowing the impact would be explosive. She hinted that there were texts and videos that hadn't even been released, yet evidence that could implicate not just Erika but other figures tied to TPUSA. "If you think this is just about one person," she said cryptically during her show, "you're not paying attention." For years, Candace Owens and Erika Kirk had moved in the same circles, shared stages, mutual friends, and overlapping audiences. They'd once represented unity, 2 strong conservative women leading with conviction and confidence. But behind closed doors, things had soured. Sources claimed it started with disagreements over messaging. Candace wanted to push harder against corruption inside the movement. Erika, on the other hand, wanted to keep things clean, marketable, and palatable for donors. The rift grew when Candace reportedly learned that Erika had been privately undermining her. Leaked texts from a group chat hinted at Erika mocking Candace's directness, calling her reckless and too unpredictable to last. For Candace, who built her brand on loyalty and truth, that was the final straw. "When people show you who they are," she said in one of her posts, "believe them." By the end of the day, Erika's empire was crumbling. Sponsorships paused. Collaborations disappeared. Even Turning Point USA, her most powerful connection, distanced itself with a carefully worded statement. Erika Kirk has not been affiliated with any official projects or internal operations of TPUSA for several months. It was the political version of being disowned. But perhaps the most humiliating moment came when Candace released the final post of her thread, a screenshot of an old message from Erika herself, dated months before the scandal. In it, Erika wrote, "Candace moves fast, but I move smarter. Timing is everything." Candace captioned it simply, "And this is the timing." The internet exploded again. The post became one of Candace's most shared tweets ever. Thousands of comments poured in, some praising Candace for her courage, others expressing shock that Erika's carefully constructed image had fallen apart so completely. For someone who had spent years building her reputation as the perfect blend of faith and influence, the public exposure was devastating. By midnight, Erika had locked her social media accounts. Her podcast episodes were pulled from major platforms for review. Collaborators scrubbed her name from their bios. And in one night, she went from being a rising star of conservative media to the cautionary tale everyone was talking about. But the story was far from over. Because while Candace Owens had dropped the first wave of receipts, she'd also promised something even bigger, the second drop. And if the whispers were true, what came next wouldn't just humiliate Erika Kirk, it would expose the powerful network that helped her rise. The morning after Candace Owens dropped the receipts, the internet was still burning. Screenshots, voice notes, and hashtags flooded every platform. People weren't just talking about Erika Kirk. They were dissecting every piece of her public image. Every sermon-like post, every podcast episode about integrity and grace suddenly felt hollow. Overnight, the woman who had preached loyalty and faith became the face of deception and manipulation. But for Candace Owens, this was just the beginning. She had promised more. And when Candace makes a promise, she delivers by noon. She went live on her podcast with a tone that was part teacher, part avenger. The episode title was simple: The Truth About Erika. It opened with her signature.com, but you could hear the tension beneath her words. "I didn't want to do this," she began. "But when people use faith as a costume and the truth as a weapon, you have to decide, do you stay quiet or do you expose the lie?" The first 20 minutes of the show weren't about Erika directly. Candace talked about betrayal, about hypocrisy in media, and about how the conservative movement eats itself because too many people care more about power than purpose. Then she shifted gears. "You've seen the screenshots," she said. "Now let's talk about the network behind them." The screen changed to display an email thread, dates, names, subject lines titled Reputation Management Framework. It was reportedly between Erika and two other high-profile media strategists. The emails discussed damage control strategies for conservative influencers and the importance of protecting key personalities through coordinated messaging. At first glance, it looked like a PR conversation. But what made this explosive was that the timeline of those emails matched perfectly with the period when Turning Point USA's scandal had been quietly growing. In other words, while TPUSA was denying wrongdoing in public, Erika and her team were privately planning how to spin it. Candace scrolled through the emails slowly, letting her audience read the words for themselves. "You don't have to take my word for it," she said. "Just read it. This is who she really is." The impact was immediate. Live viewers flooded the chat with disbelief, anger, and even betrayal. So she was managing the story. One comment read, "This is worse than I thought." Another said, "This isn't just Erika. This is all of them." Candace didn't stop there. She then revealed that the emails were only part of what she had. "The real proof," she said, came from someone inside Erika's Circola whistleblower, who had worked directly with her during the height of the TPUSA fallout. According to Candace, this person had reached out privately after growing tired of what they described as manipulation, disguised as ministry. The whistleblower provided voice memos, meeting notes, and screenshots from group chats allegedly used to coordinate narrative management. One voice note featured Erika saying, "Candace can't be part of this. She's unpredictable. If she goes off script, it'll undo everything." That line changed everything. It revealed the reason behind the fallout, the real source of the feud. Candace hadn't just been a bystander in the scandal. She had been deliberately excluded. And Erika had been part of the group that kept her in the dark. For Candace, that was the final straw. "They wanted to control me," she said on air. They wanted to use my platform, my voice, my influence, but only as long as I followed their script. And when I didn't, I became the threat. The revelation made the feud personal, and audiences could feel it. This wasn't just about two women with clashing egos. It was about authenticity versus deception, independence versus manipulation. Candace was standing up not only for herself, but for everyone tired of being lied to by polished faces hiding behind curated faith. Meanwhile, Erika's world was collapsing. Her PR team worked overtime to control the damage, but the narrative had already escaped their grasp. Every hour brought new commentary videos, reaction threads, and analyses. YouTubers and podcasters dug into Erika's past interviews, finding inconsistencies in her stories about TPUSA, her network, and her media partnerships. Every old clip became new evidence. Her silence became fuel for speculation. Some fans defended her, arguing that Candace was being cruel or using this for views. But even those defenses started to crumble once. Candace dropped another bomb proof that Erika had lied. About her separation from Turning Point USA. Candace revealed an internal memo, signed by Erika herself, dated months after she'd claimed to have stepped away. Memo outlined her continued advisory role and reputation, outreach, and donor relations. That document proved Erika hadn't left the organization when she said she had. She'd simply gone quiet, working behind the scenes to protect the brand's image while pretending to the public that she was uninvolved. The revelation was humiliating. The comments online were merciless. So she was hiding in plain sight. One user wrote, "The same woman talking about truth and transparency was literally doing PR spin." By evening, Erika's name had become synonymous with scandal. Every post about her faith-based events was flooded with snake emojis and accusations of hypocrisy. Her podcast ratings plummeted. Sponsors quietly pulled their names from her projects. Even fellow influencers who had once defended her started deleting photos and collaborations from their profiles. And Candace. She wasn't gloating, she was focused. "This isn't about destroying someone," she said during a follow-up segment. "It's about accountability. You can't build a platform on righteousness while lying to the people who trusted you." But even as Candace positioned herself as the truth teller, some wondered if there was more going on beneath the surface. Why expose Erika now? Why not months ago when rumors first began? Some speculated that Candace had waited for the perfect moment. The moment when Erika's influence was at its peak, to make the fall that much harder. Others believed it was a moral breaking point. Candace didn't want to do it, one insider told a commentator. But when she saw how Erika was still manipulating the story behind the scenes, she decided it was time to end the act. The most shocking twist came the next day when Candace hinted that Erika's actions weren't isolated. They were part of a bigger web involving media contracts, funding deals, and image exchanges between political influencers. "It's not just her," she said ominously. "There are others. She's just the first to fall." That statement sent shockwaves across conservative media. Suddenly, other names began trending, people wondering who else Candace might expose next. Behind the scenes, organizations went into lockdown. Staff meetings were held. Statements were drafted in case their own internal communications ever surfaced. It was pure panic. Meanwhile, Erika tried one last move. Late that night, she uploaded a video to her Instagram. No makeup, no filters, just high, red voice trembling. She denied everything again, insisting that the messages were fabricated and that Candace's campaign was a coordinated attack designed to divide. But instead of sympathy, her tears only deepened the backlash. People didn't believe her anymore. "You can't cry about being exposed when you got caught lying," one top comment read. Another said, "Candace gave you a chance to come clean. You chose the mask." By the next morning, Erika's video had been taken down. Screenshots, of course, remained everywhere. Her credibility was gone. But Candace wasn't finished yet. In her final tweet of the week, she hinted at what was coming next. "There's one file left. And it's not about Erika, it's about who helped her. Stay tuned." The internet froze. Because if what she had already revealed had destroyed one woman's reputation, then whatever came next could bring down the entire system that protected her. And this time, everyone from influencers to executives was watching closely, wondering who Candace Owens would expose next, and who might not survive the truth by the time the weekend hit. Erika Kirk's silence had become the story. Every influencer in her circle was talking, but she wasn't. Her followers wanted answers, her critics wanted more proof, and the media wanted a reaction. But Erika had vanished. No new posts, no statements, no podcast uploads. Her usual quotes about truth and grace had disappeared overnight, replaced with nothing but silence. And in the world of social media, silence is guilt. Meanwhile, Candace Owens was in complete control of the narrative. Every day, she released a little more, a clip, a message, a thread. It wasn't random. It was surgical. She knew exactly how to keep the story alive, how to make sure Erika's fall didn't just hit hard, it hit slow. Candace wasn't rushing. She was dismantling an entire illusion piece by piece when she finally released what she called the final file. The internet stopped. It wasn't another screenshot or audio recording. It was an internal TPUSA Documenta PowerPoint deck titled Narrative Alignment Strategy 2023. It outlined how media personalities tied to the organization were expected to coordinate messaging during controversy, maintain brand consistency, and limit direct criticism of partners. But what shocked everyone was the slide labeled Faith Leaders and Image Builders. Under that header were names, and one of them was Erika Kirk. Next to her name were bullet points that made jaws drop. Public trust equals high. Manage crises through devotion language. Key role, deflection. This was the smoking gun. The document confirmed what Candace had been saying all along. Erika wasn't an innocent bystander. She was a designated crisis manager, using faith as a tool to protect the brand. The slide even included sample phrases like God uses challenges to strengthen us, and forgiveness is more powerful than division. They weren't personal reflections. They were pre-written scripts for damage control. Candace didn't even need to add commentary. She simply posted the file with the caption, "Now do you understand?" The backlash was immediate and brutal. Erika Kirk's entire image, her reputation as a woman of faith, family, and integrity collapsed under the weight of those slides. The same phrases she'd used in her faith posts were now exposed as marketing tactics. Even her public apologies from months earlier suddenly looked rehearsed, not heartfelt. Her name began trending alongside words like fake, hypocrite, and manipulator. Comment sections turned hostile. Followers she'd inspired for years felt betrayed. "She sold faith like a brand," one user wrote. "We believed her because she talked about God, but it was just PR." As the chaos spread, Turning Point USA tried to distance itself again. This time, their statement was cold and final. "We do not condone deceptive practices by individuals acting independently. Erika Kirk has had no official role with our organization." But by now, no one cared about the distinction. The document had the TPUSA logo. That was all people needed to see. For Candace Owens, the fallout was vindication. In her next broadcast, she didn't gloat, she educated. "What we just witnessed," she said, "is how influence really works. It's not about truth. It's about optics. They hire people who can manipulate emotions because that's how they sell ideas. They build saints out of strategists." She paused. But this time, the mask slipped. Her message resonated. People weren't just talking about Erika anymore. They were questioning the entire machine behind her. How many other influencers had handlers feeding them talking points? How many had alignment strategies hidden behind their inspirational content? The exposure had gone beyond gossip. It had turned into a cultural awakening. But while the internet celebrated Candace for pulling back the curtain, there was another side to the story, what was happening behind it all. Insiders close to TPUSA described the atmosphere as pure panic. Staff were instructed to scrub internal files, delete Slack messages, and secure all comms immediately. Sponsors were threatening to pull funding, and major media allies were demanding to know how something so sensitive had leaked in the first place. And at the center of the storm was Erika, humiliated, isolated, and reportedly furious. According to one insider, she felt betrayed not just by Candace, but by the very people she'd protected. She took the hit for all of them, the source said. And when the fire came, they left her to burn alone. In private, Erika allegedly reached out to mutual friends, pleading her case. She insisted the documents were misinterpreted, claiming they were templates used by multiple media groups, not her personal words. But it was too late. Screenshots, videos, and memes had cemented her downfall. Once the internet labels you a fraud, no apology can undo it. Even Candace's former critics applauded her this time. People who'd once accused her of being too confrontational or too emotional were now calling her brave for holding someone accountable in her own community. Candace didn't destroy anyone, one journalist wrote. She exposed the rot in a system that hides behind scripture. The impact rippled beyond Erika. Within weeks, other influencers tied to TPUSA and similar organizations started quietly backing away. Their tone changed. Their captions softened. Suddenly, everyone was talking less about truth and more about transparency. The exposure had scared the entire industry into recalibrating. As for Erika Kirk, her silence continued. Rumors circulated that she was considering legal action, but nothing came of it. Her brand partnerships disappeared. Her speaking invitations were canceled. Her podcast, once filled with motivational interviews and political commentary, was quietly removed from most platforms. She became a ghost. Then, weeks later, a single post appeared on her account. A black background. White text. It read, "Everyone falls. Everyone sins. God redeems." Comments flooded in, instantly half supportive, half scathing. Some begged her to own up. Others mocked her for using scripture again. But what stood out most was Candace's reply, just 3 words. "Receipts don't repent." That comment went viral instantly. It summed up everything the saga had become, a story not just of betrayal and exposure, but of accountability. Candace had turned Erika's weapon, her curated faith, back on her. And this time, there was no recovery. The scandal didn't just end Erika Kirk's career, rewrote the rules for an entire movement. The days of polished speeches and rehearsed morality were over. Audiences had seen too much, learned too much. They no longer trusted filters and scripts. They wanted authenticity, even if it was messy. Candace Owens had set a new standard, one that terrified everyone who'd built their fame on illusion. But behind the triumph, there was still an unspoken truth. Candace hadn't exposed Erika for fame. She'd exposed her because she'd seen it all before. The manipulation, the hypocrisy, the moral branding used to cover political ambition. She'd watched too many people weaponize faith for influence, and this time, she refused to stay quiet in the end. Erika Kirk's humiliation wasn't just her downfall, it was a mirror. It forced everyone watching to confront the same question. How many other leaders are just actors in tailored faith, performing sincerity for power? The answer, Candace warned her audience, is simple. More than you think. And with that, she closed the chapter. But even as the story faded from trending lists, its message lingered. In a world built on influence, where image is currency and belief is branding, truth is the only thing that can't be bought or hidden forever. Because no matter how carefully someone crafts their image, there's always one person who's willing to tell the truth. And this time, that person was Candace Owens. Power built on lies always collapses, and Erika Kirk's downfall is proof. What happened here wasn't just drama, was exposure. Candace Owens didn't just drop receipts. She dropped the truth that so many people in this industry are too afraid to face. Behind the lights, the hashtags, and the polished faith-based speeches, there's a machine that trades authenticity for influence, and when that machine cracks, the truth pours out. This story isn't just about Erika's humiliation. It's about how easily people can be fooled by presentation, by perfect words wrapped in scripture and smiles. Candace didn't expose Erika to destroy her. She exposed the system that allowed people like her to thrive unchecked. So, if you're watching this right now, ask yourself, how much of what you believe online is real? How many truth tellers are just brands? And how often do we mistake performance for conviction? Candace's stand was a reminder that integrity isn't about perfection, it's about accountability. It's about calling out deception, even when it's dressed in righteousness. If this story made you think, share it. Talk about it. Because this isn't just one woman's fall, it's a warning to everyone who values truth over theater. The masks are slipping, the scripts are unraveling, and the age of blind influence is ending. Stay alert, stay discerning, and remember, receipts don't lie. Remember, receipts don't lie.